the station where our veterans' voices are heard, MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Welcome to Freedom Chat, where real Americans speak their minds. And no topic is off limits. No scripts, no judgment, just honest conversation, raw, unfiltered, and free. If you're ready to challenge the narrative and celebrate true freedom, you're in the right place. This is Freedom Chat.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, we actually have a new person on board. His name is Lucas Dyerkoff. Let's get a little bit of housekeeping done, shall we? The weekend of October 11 and 12, the show will not go on because I will be in South Dakota honoring my father-in-law who passed away in May. We did a memorial service at a church because he was a devout Catholic, where I played Amazing Grace. This time I'm going in military uniform and honoring his military service. So the 12th of October, there'll be no show. Just want to put that out. I will remind everybody of that, of course, as we get closer to it. But as you can see, what was once 3 is now 4. I want to formally introduce Lucas Dyerkoff. I'll let him. And if I mispronounce your name, man, it is not intentional. Okay,
it's all good.
There are times when I can't even pronounce my own damn name. So, all right, take it away, Lucas.
So my name's Lucas Dyerkoff, and I am I'm the host of Aries Brood podcast. I am on the hunt for a co-host as we speak. I'm here in the Veteran Voices studio, here in Denver, Colorado, and we pretty much just talk about role-playing games, card games, and board games and such, and so. I was a combat medic for 5 years in the Army, twice deployed, and that's a little bit about me.
Okay, I'm gonna mute you for a second. Oh, first, before I do that, what do you consider better games? Since we're gonna do debates, let's debate right off the bat. In my opinion, the best board game ever created is chess. I'm pretty sure that you don't agree with me on that, and respectfully, I understand, and I'm cool with it. But yes, I believe that chess is the greatest board game ever created.
Well, no, I mean, there's a whole lot of people that would agree with you. So, I can't fault you there. But and I mean, too, I think, God, it just might be one of the oldest, board games. Well,
it is. In fact,
really
do you know where it was it originated from? It was actually originated in India, which is really kind of funny.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to talk about how Lucas ended up on the show, and there's some irony involved in that. 2 weeks ago, my co-hosts and I had a profanity-laced show, and our good buddy H-Train reached out to me and said, "Hey, man, just level off with the F-bombs." I was pretty upset, pretty angry about some things that had happened in the past, in recent past, and I told him, "Hey, no more F-bombs." So we will not be throwing F-bombs. The first person that throws an F-bomb has to give me $100. So if that doesn't motivate you to not drop them, then don't drop them. So wouldn't it be a funny thing that the first every once in a while there's a Freudian slip. We did not throw a single F-bomb, and I get a message saying, "Hey, there's some complaints about your show. I simply gave my email address and said, tell him to send it. Tell him to send his concerns. So Lucas sent me an email, and I'm going to be upfront with Lucas, and I'm not the only one who feels this way. The reason that we are currently an echo chamber is because nobody every once in a while at the very beginning, we've been doing this since October, we haven't had an opposing view come onto our show. So by mere, this is how it works, you are an echo chamber, because if you all agree with each other, it turns into hey, this is what we believe. And I am strong in my beliefs, and I'm strong with where I stand in my beliefs. I have always said this at the very beginning. Anybody wants to come on, we're called Freedom Chat for a reason. The reason we're called Freedom Chat is because we want to hear what other people have to say. We need to have other people have to say. In fact, here's H, if H wants to jump on. So that's something that was very important to us from the very beginning. Now, how we got started is I would do rants, and we're talking years ago. And Dennis said, hey, how do you do what you do? And I said, well, I just get on and do it. And the next thing you know, we're talking about creating something where we can have open dialogue. We're not always going to agree with each other. Everybody should know that. If we all agreed with each other all of the time, bad things happen. The young man who was recently murdered said that numerous times. When people stop talking, bad things happen. Hi, Terry. I'm looking at the message board. When nations, when you know, the North and the South, yeah, there were some really strong ideological differences. But the biggest reason that the bullets started to fly was because they quit talking to each other. Both sides quit talking, and then one side decided, you know what, it's time to just start throwing lead. And we're trying to prevent that. I think that all of us in this little room here can agree. We're trying to prevent that from happening. That's why we have to have these conversations. Good, bad, or indifferent. That's why we got to have them. So I'm going to turn it over to Dennis for a second, and then I'm going to turn it over to my mom, and I'm going to turn it back over to Lucas.
So, Lucas, welcome. Nice to meet you. That's pretty cool. The show that you have. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of shows like that, so that's kind of unique. So I'm kind of curious, what got you into politics originally? Like, when did you become, adamant or more supportive of your views? What got you into that initially?
Yeah, and completely like upfront for like I was conservative most of my life. I mean, in fact, I mean, like I voted for like both for George W. both times. I will admit, and even supported McCain against Obama, like the first time. But I think that really being stationed in Germany and just having a lot of conversations, with many Germans, and just kind of like, what had happened in their country, and then also the many anti-war speeches that happened, for many years, like during the Iraq War, then really brought me to the great Senator Bernie Sanders, and so I really felt that, come 2016, then he was really, just speaking my language. And so, I just really kind of then really started getting involved, like in the Democratic Socialists of America, and was just very much involved in just the ground game of all of his campaigns, and especially like in 2020, where I was a state delegate in Texas for Bernie Sanders, and was helped to kind of build the Democratic platform for the Democratic Party in Texas, and that was an amazing opportunity. That was very very educational, and getting involved in that political process was just awesome. So I think so, more so than anything, kind of like personal to me. I mean, like, I think so much of what got me involved in politics was aspirational, in what the country could be, that I was seeing that it was not. And so yeah.
Cool.
So that's
cool. Well, I'm going to say, speaking for myself, I think that Bernie got a raw deal in 2016. I do believe that the DNC
sure
did him extremely dirty. I don't believe that Hillary was the best decision. In fact, I think she was the worst choice that they could have made. I'm not speaking for anybody else on this floor. I would not have voted for Bernie Sanders. I make that abundantly clear. I would never have voted for him because I don't agree with his ideologies, and that's fine. But that said, he was the better choice for the party at the time, and the mere fact that they let that pass and gave that a free pass was very disturbing to me. I'm going to turn it over to my mom, so I'm going to mute myself, which never happens, and I'm going to mute Lucas, and I'm going to let my mom ask Lucas a question and introduce herself, and then we'll go from there. And don't forget, we do have a commercial break coming up. Lucas, if you don't know about my commercial breaks, I only do 2 of them. Well, 3. And 2 of them will make you laugh, and 1 of them won't.
Okay.
Mom, you're up.
Hi, Lucas. As you know, I'm Mark's mom. I'm 82 years old, and I have a lot of memories from back in the day that perhaps I'm overstating the case, but I think I sometimes bring some historical background to what is going on and what has gone on. I have a good memory on history. I was always into history. I think that the world needs more history. So, other than that, that's me. Are you still in Texas then?
No, actually, my parents, they live in Corpus Christi, Texas, and no, I lived in Austin, Texas, there for about 3 years, and enjoyed the blue heart of Texas there, but yeah, no, I'm now just living in Denver. I was born and raised in Colorado, and so yeah, my time in Texas was short, for sure.
And it's being in Texas and then coming back to Colorado.
Funny thing about Corpus Christi, in 2019, I honored Donald Stratton, who is one of the survivors of the USS Arizona, and 3 days later, I played for an unaccompanied veteran in Corpus Christi, Texas, and there's a ship that's there, otherwise known as the Great Ghost. So I took my uniform and my horn, and I went and I played on the bridge of the USS Lexington. Just pop in and pop out. That's my reputation.
That's great.
Oh, it was a blast, man. It was a blast. All right, I'm gonna. All right, so we're gonna go into break right now, and uh, just ride with it. Here we go.
Those are cool tats, man.
Oh, for real. Thank you, bro. You see the Cobra?
And what is this one?
Oh, this?
Uh-huh.
That's my credo. No regrets.
You have no regrets?
Dad?
No? Like not even a single letter?
No way. Not me.
Well, I love him. I think he's great.
Okay.
I think he's a real winner, Casey. If I were you, I wouldn't use protection.
I am so sorry, but there is something to be said for a little bit of crass.
Oh yeah. So I help on the Morning Wood show with Holly and Joel, and
Hey.
yeah, we use that clip quite frequently. And,
All right, so here's my request. More of that, please.
right?
I agree.
Well, I mean, Hollywood will gladly comply, and she's all about it.
Because I don't know what it is about that particular cut, but I just okay, I do know why. Because I've seen people that are rolling out with tats that are just like god awful, but to them it's like this was the greatest thing ever. And I mean, I've got 2 tattoos here, 2 tattoos there, and I'm not ashamed of them, but they don't ever really come out because they're nobody else's business. They're not offensive. They're music driven. But yeah, that video, man, I don't know what it is about that clip, but that's become like almost 2 months that we've been doing. That's our first stop is no regrets, man.
That's my credo.
Credo. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about I want to tackle a couple of the things in your email, and I'm not going to do it in an attacking way.
Sure.
I want to talk about Christian nationalism, and first I want to say I am. God, if you want to call me non-denominational, that's perfectly fine. I believe in Christ. I have experienced things personally that the only explanation is divine. The places that I've played at, the people that I've played in front of, the headstones that I've honored, and the stumbling into individuals. A perfect example is this last July, we did our Medal of Honor tour for Nebraska, and I run into this elderly couple because I'm looking for a Medal of Honor recipient, and I find him, and I get my camera, I do my work, and they asked if I knew that there was a young man from the 13 that were killed in Afghanistan in September of 21. Everybody knows that, right? I go, I know of them, but I haven't played for any of them. And they go, well, he's right over here at the Omaha National Cemetery. And then they asked me if I'd play for them. Well, of course I said yes, because I haven't said no to a performance yet. And since 2015, I haven't refused immediate performance and requests like that. But the fact that that family, their daughter were good friends with the mother of that kid, there's no way that I should have come across that couple in the middle of Omaha, Nebraska. There's no way that happens unless there's something else going on. And I believe faith-wise that I was supposed to be there, that they were supposed to find me, and that I was supposed to go with my horn and honor that young man live. Because I don't believe we get a lot of that in today. In fact, I know for a fact, we all have heard the bugle in the box. I mean, Lucas, the bugle in the box, MP3 player sitting in a bell. It's a fallacy, and it's a lie, and it's embarrassing that they have to use it. I wish we could get more people on board to learn how to play. I could teach anybody to play taps. You get me 3 weeks and you're playing taps. There is no reason not to do that. And unlike a lot of people who would charge to teach, I don't want anybody's money. I want people live at funerals. I don't care about anything else when it comes to that work. I believe that's my call to a very real degree. But when we talk about Christian nationalists, I think my opinion of this is that I think it's misunderstood, and I think that the people that call themselves Christian nationalists are misguided. I really believe that. I believe that if they looked at the founding of this country, the Constitutional Convention, where Catholics were supposed to be completely removed from that process until George Washington went to Catholic churches in Philadelphia, which showed, once again, a leadership capacity of we are one nation. And we are not leaving people out simply because of their religious belief. And I believe that this nation has got to get on board with that. Not Christian nationalists. We can be nationalists and we can be Christians. I don't believe we can be both. I don't believe that both should exist. And, I don't believe that we've done that. I believe that I use our founders' guidance. And if it sounds like it's Christian nationalists, it's probably because of the 59 men who signed the Declaration, 54 were ardent Christians. I think that there's a lot to be said for the history.
Well, I think that they were theists. I mean, but I don't think that they would. I don't think they were traditionally like Christians as like we would call it today. I mean, but and then too, I mean, like also, like God was never in the Constitution as well. I mean, but so yeah, I mean, like I think yes, they were, like men of of faith. But I think, just like how we are using it today is incredibly dangerous, and that and I mean, and I would even go so far, like as to liken it to to countries that have like a that have incorporated, like their faith, like into, like the doctrine of the country. And that's a very dangerous place to be, like as we've seen it all across the Middle East. And
yeah, I was about ready to ask you to give me that example.
So I mean, so for, like, for instance, like Sharia law is dangerous, and so since it is, I mean, then then why then are we going to, like, incorporate, like, faith of any kind, like, into, into our laws, I mean, like it, I just don't think that, it's just like, it's a dangerous, place to go,
So I'm gonna open the floor to my mom and Dennis, and I'm gonna shut up for a change.
Look, my thought on Christian nationalists, I've never heard of the term until it became popular to be thrown around politically. I feel like I am a nationalist. I believe in my nationalist as in my country. I was raised that way. That's what I believe. I'm also a Christian, not a church-going Christian, unfortunately, but I am a Christian. Does that make me then a Christian nationalist or a nationalist who believes in Christianity? And how does that reflect into your not just daily life, but your worldview?
Dennis, you're up. Mom, I muted you. So Dennis, you're up.
So I am to a I would say non-denominational. I'm a man of faith. And I know that Christian nationalists, that's kind of a relatively new term, I guess. Up until recently, I'd never really heard it described that way. Honestly, I'd like an actual good definition of it, a solid definition of it, because I think it actually means a lot of different things to different people. I love this nation, so I'm a nationalist. I will fight and die for this nation. And as far as, and I was raised in a Christian environment as a young person, and as I got older, I maintained the fundamentals of that, which basically I think is what this country was based on, was the fundamentals of for the rights of religious freedom, because I think that they saw that as very important, that whether you were a Christian or not, whether Christian, Lutheran, whatever you want to call yourself, I think that they felt that was very important, that you also had the right to worship as you please. And I would say, as long as it's not involving anything violent or danger, to anyone else, I don't, it was pretty open to do whatever, you wanted to do, which is why we have other rights as well.
Right. All right. And I've already kind of expressed my take. So what we're discovering here, and I see Lucas taking notes, and I'm glad Lucas took notes. Well, someone, but hang on a second. Okay, there we go. I had a little Facebook. Call it a squirrel moment. I see Lucas taking notes. So, call it a squirrel moment. All right. So, someone, hang on a second. Okay, there we go. Now let's, I had a little Facebook. Let's let this pass on through. That was fun. So, call it a squirrel moment. All right. So, I think what we've discovered is that there's a lot more that we have in common. All right, so what we've discovered is there's a lot more in common here than differences. Oh my God! Give me a minute here. There. I'm sorry. Facebook and I just had a little war, and I won. But as I was saying, I think that what we're already discovering is, despite Dennis, unmute for a second so I can get control again. There we go. All right. There's more in common here than there's not. I believe that we've already figured this out. The subject of Sharia law, Lucas, you just shocked the crap out of me, man. That was something that we have been talking about on and off since October, of the dangers of Sharia law. So I'm gonna throw this at you and let you throw it back at me. Are you familiar with the band Iron Maiden?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. There's a song that they recorded from their last album, and the song is "Lost in a Lost World." And at the very end of it, it's so the pretext of the song is that it's coming from a older person living in their country, waking up, realizing that their country is no longer the country that they fought for, that they grew up in. And it talks specifically about people coming to their country that refuse to acknowledge their values and refuse to a large degree assimilate to the values with which they're joining. And one of the things that we see, and I'll talk specifically about myself. One of the things that I see is members of our Congress who are not being true to their oath of office, or not being willing to assimilate to many of the values. And yes, I am talking about Rashida Tlaib, who is actually an American citizen by birth, but more importantly, Ilhan Omar. And I'm not Islamophobia. I don't believe in phobias, because a phobia is a fear. I don't have a care one way or another. I have coworkers that are of the Islamic faith. When people say Muslim, or I just say, hey, they're Arabs. and because that's where they come from. They come from the Arabian areas, the Middle East. But the fact that you have in this country and in other countries around the world, people come to these countries and then don't want to assimilate to the pre-existing values that are there. It creates an environment that is acrimonious and can get worse in a heartbeat. And I kind of, because you mentioned Sharia law, so I'm going to ask you, what is your position on this? Because look, I am calling Ilhan Omar out. I am calling a member of Congress out who just happens to be Democrat. And knowing where you stand on the political spectrum, where do you stand on that?
Well, I mean, she has passed no laws, that would make Sharia law, like usurp, like this country's own laws, So she has never, challenged, our laws or our government in that way, And so, like, while she may, have some, tenets that she feels are important or personal to her, none of that has changed, any policy that she has brought to bear on the House. So,
So what's your opinion of her rhetoric? And that's kind of where I'm going with this. The rhetoric that I hear from her. You've obviously you had your oath to your country, and I forgot to tell you, thank you for your service. Thank you for getting out there and doing the things that you did. Believe it or not, brother, I'm right there with you. I got a CAR too. I was on a battleship. My CAR was a little bit less intense than yours was, but hey, and I know you're Army, so I'm going to go ahead and throw this at you. Your howitzers, they're cute.
Hey, well, yeah, we'll take whatever we can get.
Right, but the question that I'm getting at, and the point I'm getting at, and I'm kind of opening the forum up to everybody, is it's one thing to not go onto the floor, but as a public figure and as a public figure in office who has sworn an oath to our Constitution, I've heard her, and there are numerous videos that are very clear as to where her allegiances lie. And that is directly relatable to, I'm not willing to assimilate to the pre-existing culture. Because I'm Somalian, I'm going to be loyal to Somalia first. And she has been very public about this. My question is, at what point do we as Americans draw a line in the sand and say your oath is to the Constitution? And when you became an American citizen, your oath was to the Constitution and to the United States. And I'm not saying she can say whatever she wants, freedom of speech, but you're in a position of public service, and you are not just beholden to the Somalians in your district. You're beholden to every American if you're in the House of Reps. Well, so that's where I'm getting at. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Producing a law is, number one, you and I both know it wouldn't even sniff the floor if she were to bring up Sharia law. If it did, I would be done. Huh?
And she hasn't.
Right. And I think that's because she's smart enough to know. I really do. I'm throwing my opinion on this. I think it's like, she doesn't have the votes. It just wouldn't work. Because, as imperfect as our system is, the one thing that works is that it allows people to understand, like, hey, if a white nationalist wanted to come out and say, I think that everybody should be allowed to have KKK hoods on their front door, that also couldn't be turned into law. And we know that. So you kind of get, I'm throwing one extreme out after another, but it's the underlying refusal to acknowledge the pre-existing culture that I'm afraid of. So, and I kind of want to throw my mom, and so you and I are going to mute, and I'm going to throw my mom and Dennis into this.
Go ahead, Dennis.
I guess I'm curious to know, like, is there anything that like Ilhan Omar has done for the benefit of all people, whether it's in her area or just for the nation as a whole. Can you give me any examples of anything that she's done productive, like in a positive way for a general public?
Well, I don't think that I necessarily need to give any examples. I mean, because she has been duly elected now a few times, and so obviously she's doing something, that her constituency agrees with, or then she wouldn't have been, voted or elected as many times as she has been. I'm not familiar, with the details of her record, but I think that her constituency, certainly, has spoken for itself, in now, I think 3 times. If I'm
Sorry
not
about that. I kind of cut you off. I didn't mean to. I would like to kind of speak on that. Her district is almost entirely of the same people that she is, which is Somalian refugees who became American citizens. No matter how they became American citizens, they are American citizens. So it's almost like, she could go up against anybody, in all honesty, and it's the equivalent of having it's the equivalent of going to a knife fight, a gunfight with a knife, and the guy's already got the gun pulled. And I don't know. And look, that goes by without saying. Red districts that are entirely red, an incumbent is always going to have an advantage over a challenger. It's actually ingrained. It's one of the flaws of our electoral system, is that the incumbent gets more money for campaigning, and the challenger has got to really push hard. I personally feel that if you're going to run, even as an incumbent, by God, fund yourself. I've always said this, and I don't know whether you will agree with me on this. I believe that if I am going to run for office and I'm going to run against somebody, it should be based on, hey, I'm better at you. I'm going to be better than you at what you do. And right. I think that is like terrifying to a lot of people, because you see ads all the time. Well, almost all of the ads on one level or another, both right and left, are misleading. Because I've read good things about Democrats, and then I've read the ads about from a right-leaning ad that is completely garbage, and I see it all the time on the other side. Well, let's do away with the ads. If we're going to be serious about governing our country, like I like to say, if we're going to be serious about driving this Ferrari, then we need to take the wheel. And taking the wheel means no more ads. This is my opinion, and I know it's radical. No more ads. But you know what you do during the election cycle? You run a series of debates, and those debates will tell people, hey, this guy's better. I agree with this guy more than I agree with that guy. So, for example, I know you're a Bernie Sanders guy, but if another Democrat came on and was speaking and buried even like 5 or 6 of Bernie's positions, logic would dictate that you would be like, well, wait a minute, maybe Bernie's got a couple of these things wrong. By extension, J.D. Vance, when and I'm pretty sure he's going to be the Republican nominee in 28. But if someone came along that I looked at, because I am a constitutionalist, I believe what George Washington believed, which is political parties have no place in this country, because they're divisive and they create division from within, which creates strife from without. And I think that that's something that's really, really important to understand. George Washington said that in his farewell speech, or his farewell address. People don't realize that he never actually spoke that address. He and Alexander Hamilton wrote that and then published it so that the entire country could read his thoughts. And it gets completely misconstrued. I believe if you read something, you internalize it better. I believe it to my core, because your brain processes it differently than when it's heard. So, for example, J.D. Vance goes up against, I'll throw one out that is just so completely off the wall. All right, Lucas? J.D. Vance, Lauren Boebert. nominates, she throws her hat in the presidential ring, right?
Right.
Okay, so now you've got Lauren Boebert and J.D. Vance. Well, let's see. Get up on a debate stage and see who's got the stronger value, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at when I hear people go, well, she was reelected. Well, of course she was reelected. Look at where her constituents, look at her district. Of course she was. Like, for example, Jason Crow is my congressman. I never voted for him and I never will. But guess what? He's going to get reelected again because his constituency drives that.
Well, yeah. I mean, like the incumbency, is always, like a steep hill to climb, against. I mean, but then, AOC, like she beat her Republican incumbent to get her seat, and now has held that seat, now against many Republican challengers. And so it certainly, can go both ways, and has.
Right. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to my mom now. Mom, you've got the floor. I'm going to shut up.
That'd be a first. What I see in the present Congress, and then I find it really sad, is the lack of decorum that I see, not in just one person, but in so many who, instead of working together or even trying to find a solution to a problem, they stand there and scream insults back and forth. Well, the Republicans don't seem to be doing the back, but they get screamed at. And personally, I felt that those silly dances and whatever things that the Democrats were doing out in front of the Congress was disgraceful. That's what I think about that. Has no place in a place that should be at least respectful of their constituency, so we don't have to watch that display of ridiculousness, because it serves no purpose. It just makes people angry on one side or the other.
Mom, I'm going to turn it over to Dennis. I know Dennis has got some takes on this. You're up, D.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of, what was the question again? No, I'm just kidding. No, I think that there are a lot of things that we need to work on, since there are two major parties. I think that there's some good ideas on both sides. Me and Mark were actually just talking the other day about a surprise in the Democrat Party, who we both kind of have a respect for, John Fetterman. When I first was introduced to this guy, I was kind of like, well, I mean, I didn't know much about him and didn't really hear him speak a whole lot. And then he had some issues, some health issues and whatnot. And then he overcame them. And for whatever reason, after that happened, he seemed to start saying things that I like, a lot of things I still don't agree with, but a lot of things that, came out of his mouth were starting to be more pro, both sides. Like he made it sound like there's a chance that we could actually have some civil discussions and maybe create, some ideas together, to come up with solutions to certain problems. So I'm hopeful for people like John Fetterman, who, on the Democrat side, I'm kind of hoping that we get more like him, like-minded people like him that can come to the table and bring their ideas. And some of those ideas are great, I think. So I'm looking forward to more of that.
My next question for Lucas. Lucas, I'm gonna first throw my opinion about the contention on the floor of Congress. I believe there should be contention on the floor. I believe that there should be a contentious debate back and forth. But I do agree with my mom, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to assume I'm the only man in this forum that believes this. I've heard MGT, otherwise known as Marjorie Taylor Greene. I've heard Nancy Mace. Now, I'm specifically naming them because they are on the right. They are Republicans. That's their party. They are as repulsive at times as the AOCs, the Jasmine Crockett's, the Ilhan Omars, and there are a few males on that side. Now, the guys that I like to follow, and I don't know how Lucas is going to feel about this. I like people like Rand Paul. I like people like Thomas Massey. I like people like I prefer people who believe more on a constitutional basis than not. That's why I follow the way I follow, and unfortunately, they seem to be more right leaning on the surface. But as far as John Fetterman is concerned, I have been more than stunned about that cat in all of the ways that you would not expect. That, because you've seen for decades, the Democrat Party has always been marching with one footstep and marching in one direction. Here's this guy who has legitimately been the salmon swimming upstream, and I think that that's something that we need more of that from both sides of the fence. We need less of this garbage that we keep hearing. And yes, we have a president who is as contentious as anybody else, but he isn't the only one. He's had predecessors who have been just as contentious. And last weekend, we actually pulled direct quotes from a speech by Joe Biden where he literally called out a huge portion of American citizens and called them a threat in front of Liberty Hall. And that was something that really disturbed me, because if we are Americans, then we're Americans. I know that there are fringe rights and I know that there are fringe lefts, and I will be quite frank, I want nothing to do with any of them, because they haven't yet figured out that what we need is to come together, not pull further apart. And so it isn't a Democrat or a Republican thing. It's a fringe thing. And if we can get the fringe to start using their own brains for a change, maybe we start coming back together as a nation. Maybe the contentiousness of a president gets completely shut down because the American people are back to being the American people. That's my contention. And then I am going to ask a question of you about term limits, because we've talked about term limits on this show, and I'm curious as to where you stand on it. And I've thrown my idea for term limits, and I've gotten pretty good responses, but I want to hear what you got to say about that. But before we do, this is not going to be a Trump bashing thing, because I'm not bashing anybody. He is our president. I don't care that people say he's not my president. If you're an American citizen, he's your president. I've said that numerous times. Joe Biden was my president for 4 years. I did not like his policies. I did not like what I thought he was doing to our country. I did not like the fact that his economic policies forced me to go get a job as a school bus driver, which I still am, and I dig the job. It's a cool job, but that's me. That said, he was still my president. He was still a duly elected president, and that is how I've always gone that road. I've never gone the road of, he's not my president. No, he is. And an adult says he's my president, even though I don't agree with him. A child, or a childlike mentality, says, not my president. That's one of the things that we fight all the time. And it's not just right people, it's left people that do it too. And I've told right people when Joe Biden was the president, I have said this, and I'm gonna unmute you, Lucas, but I have said this 100 times. You know what? It doesn't matter whether you like him or not. He is your president. He is the president of the United States of America. He's not the president of the blue states of America. It's the United States of America. Our Constitution does not deviate between right and left. And I'll challenge you on the Constitution, my opinion of the Constitution, which will blow your mind. You just be prepared, Lucas, to have your mind blown. So I'm going to give you the floor. It's yours.
Now, of course, like there's always, going to be fringes, I mean, and Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene, like have shouted down, Biden, many times, even during, like the State of the Union, and he let them speak, and he actually responded to them, as opposed to, dragging them out. Which would have been completely in his right to do so, yet, his approach, was different, than current president. And so I don't know. Yes, of course, there's fringes, and yes, like Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, and other of those fringe groups were called out, by Biden. Yeah, we can say, well, of course they are Americans. So, yes, they, of course they are, however, he was certainly, recognizing the dangers, of those groups. And so when we have like a president who can't denounce, like those groups, and in fact, embrace them and hire them, then it kind of, I don't know, puts into question, well, then what's wrong, in this country if we can have these fringe groups just be hired with ICE or be hired, and be enabled, by a president. And so I difficulty with.
I'm glad you brought up the calling out of the right extreme groups, because people from our side of the fence say the same thing about BLM and Antifa, and so that's that's as far left as you can get is BLM and Antifa. I know what Antifa says it stands for, but watching videos of I'm sure you've heard of a guy named Andy Ngo being physically assaulted on a street in Oregon by that group of people. I look at that and I say, okay, you can call yourself that, but your actions kind of speak louder than your words do. The Proud Boys do very much the same thing. And as far as the other ones, man, I'm honest. When I see someone that exudes hate, they are, I basically tell them, I hate saying it like this: you need to go find Jesus somewhere. I don't know where you're going to find him, but you need to go find him. So I don't understand. All of this should be denounced. The left doesn't denounce the violent rhetoric of these fringe groups that are on the left any more than the right doesn't denounce the violent extremist groups on that side of the fence. And I think that us in the middle, legitimately us in the middle, we denounce all of it. I believe that Antifa does need to be dealt with because they do break the laws. They commit acts of really bad violence. I believe that because I've seen it. I've seen numerous videos. I also believe that the Proud Boys need to be dealt with in a legal manner because they have numerous times you can see it on video.
They were. Then they were pardoned.
Well, okay, but we're talking about a few of them, and we won't even. Let's not even get into the January 6th. Let's not even get into that. I have my opinions, and I've expressed those opinions, and I've given legitimate examples as to what they were called. But let's talk about term limits. I have been a firm believer that when term limits were created for the president, they should have also been created for the House of Representatives and for the Senate. I would like to know, A, how you feel about that, and B, what would your term limits be for the House of Representatives and for the Senate?
Well, I mean, heck, let's start with like the Supreme Court. I mean, these people are on there for life.
Life. But that's because they're an appointment. And I think that there should be something that
stuck with these people for generations.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but there's a difference between an appointment and an election, right? So yes, you're right. Some of them should have. the ones that are up there in age should have the wherewithal to step down. And I think that there should be a mechanism in place that does that. What I'm talking about is our House of Representatives and our Senate, which have had literally lifelong members, both Republican and Democrat, who are quite frankly not capable mentally to continue to do the job. This is my suggestion. This is what I have suggested, and I'm going to ask if you would agree with this. The Senate being the higher seat in the House, in the halls of Congress, they get 2 terms. That's 12 years. The President of the United States stays right where he is, 8 years, 2 terms, 4 years apiece. The House of Representatives gets 5 terms. That's 10 years. So it goes in order of precedence. Senate, 12. House of Reps, 10. President, 8. The reason that I say that would work is because instead of just simply working towards the next election, which a lot of them, both Republicans, Democrat, will tell you, we get elected, especially the congressmen. We get elected, and then it's about the next election. It's not about actually doing the job. It's about pushing towards that next election. Are you actually serving your constituents and the American people when that is what the system is forcing you to do because you don't want to go out of office? If you only had 5 terms as a member of the House of Representatives, do you think that you would have these contentious conversations to make the American dream and the American experiment better? Or do you think that it would be like, holy crap, I don't even want to run? I think it would be, you know what? We've got 10 years at minimum. We got 10 years at max. And we could get so much done in 10 years if we stopped working towards the next election. Our merit would then be the re-election. And then at the end of the 10 years, you either step down or you run for Senate. Nobody's saying you can't run for the higher office or even the lower office. So if you're good, you would get that. And that's been my contention from day one with term limits. I think it would be fabulous. And I'm gonna open the forum to everybody, and I'm gonna shut up. So Lucas, what do you think?
No, I'm all for, like more term limits. I mean, I would. Yeah, I mean, it's rough, just kind of like yo-yoing, from every 2 to 4 years, and so probably like longer, would be especially
the term limits sound good. They sound workable.
Yeah, I mean, longer, especially for states, just because I feel like, I don't know. It's rough, just with budget changes, every 2 years or 4 years, and so I think, having it longer, would be ideal. I mean, but yeah, I mean, anything to, I don't know, somehow prevent, your, like Mitch McConnell, who's just, I don't know, being propped up, I mean, just to complete a sentence. We need to do something away with that. I mean,
he wasn't the only one.
I'd be the first to agree with you, Lucas, on Mitch McConnell. Trust me.
But,
he wasn't the only one.
No.
We've seen a lot of them. I'll tell you what. I love Lucas. I'll tell you something. My mom is 82 years old, and I think she would acquit herself better on a floor than most of the ones that are currently there.
I agree.
And no, I'm not nominating my mom for any of those positions. I'm just saying.
No, you'd have me screaming on the floor. Then you could tell me, shut up. Actually, what I'd like to see is a revision of how the campaigns are funded to start with.
Oh,
They've tried that 2 or 3 times, but they really need to get a hold of the outside money that's coming in
Yeah,
and
and Citizens
funding
United.
these campaigns.
Yeah,
I would,
there's a lot of those organizations out there that we need to take a long, hard look at. Once again, it goes back to Washington's farewell address. When you have contention from within, it exposes the nation to enemies from without. And we as Americans, and okay, so we're at 1 hour. I've gotten permission to go over. However, unlike everybody else, my world doesn't stop at this little thing here. I got to go and run errands, so I am going to cut it. I am going to cut it short, cut it to an hour. I want to say one thing before I come off. I am blown away as to how good this went today, and I didn't know what to expect, but this is what I was hoping for in October when Dennis and I sat at a Waffle House and said, okay, how are we going to do this, man? And I said, I have no idea, because all I ever do is go on Facebook Live and just start blowing off steam, because Facebook Live had been my therapist forever. And, honestly, Facebook Live in this, quite frankly, this is therapy for me. This is me getting crap off my chest that I need to get off my chest. And that's what I try to use it for. But when we sat down, we talked about it. And Dennis will tell you, we literally did. We talked about, we want more people. There's 6 seats we can have in this studio. Could you imagine 6 viewpoints? And the only thing that you're not allowed to do is insult each other or call each other names. We just had some contentious conversations here that
we've been asking for this on a weekly basis, Lucas, literally every week,
begging people of a different viewpoint to show up and give us. This gives me an opportunity to understand you, and it gives you an opportunity to understand us. I'm telling you, I believe, and I'm not trying to speak for you. We're not an echo chamber. We didn't want to be an echo chamber. I want Americans to sit down with each other and, for the love of God, start talking to each other again. We need that more than anything. And whether we agree with Charlie Kirk or whether we don't agree with Charlie Kirk, the man never once turned down a conversation. And we need more of that and less of all of this other crap. I don't know how you feel about that. You are welcome on anytime you want. You are welcome to come on board, and we talk about current events. And yes, we have our views, but you are open, and I don't think we've cut you off once. And I've never said you were wrong. I disagree, yes, but I won't tell you you're wrong, because it's your opinion and it's where you stand. And I don't sit in your shoe, brother. I get where you're coming from because I'm listening to you.
Yeah, so, and same here. I'm curious to see what everybody else, what their opinions are, so that we can avoid the echo chamber.
Sure. And if I may say one thing, is that
by the way, just read what's on the screen. Joel, you are so spot on, brother.
Yeah. But yeah, if I may say, just like one thing, especially now, as the First Amendment, is being challenged more than ever, then I think that these conversations, really need to be had, far more often, both sides of the aisle. I mean, just some of the, policy that's coming down, scares me to death, and I just, I feel like these conversations, have to be what saves it, because I think, that the First Amendment, I mean, just has to be protected at all costs, and we're seeing, it being infringed right now, and we need to do something about it. But
I would let's table, if you are open to coming on next week, let's table that, because that is something that we need to talk about, because and we, one of the things in your email talked about empathy, and I have my opinion on empathy, and I want to cover that next week also. I believe in sympathy, and I believe in being a support of what someone else stands for or what someone else is feeling. I also believe that in a million years, I can't be empathetic to a person who was in Afghanistan and was ambushed. Why? Because I was never in Afghanistan and I was never ambushed. So I cannot put myself in that person's shoes, and I cannot tell them, I know how you feel, brother. But what I can tell you is I sympathize with your plight. And anytime you want to talk to me, Lucas, you got my phone number. I will answer the call. And if you're just like, dude, I just need someone, can we meet at a Waffle House or a Denny's and have a cup of coffee? Because I got some things that are really bugging me. Those demons in the middle of the night, they're coming. And my response to that is take a breath, meet me at this one here. And then I'm getting my happy little ass out of my bed and I'm on my way. Because I think that that is as important to our society as anything else is. And I really believe that the word empathy gets tossed around, but I think it gets misconstrued. And it isn't that empathetic voices shouldn't be heard. It's that there has to be an understanding of what it is to begin with. So I tend to say, no, I can't be in your shoes because I'm not you and you're not me. Same, and it's reciprocal. If I called you, hey, I'm having a rough time right now, man. I just need to get some off my chest. And I think that is as important, especially the veteran community and veteran family community. It is vital that we sit down and everything stops. And, policies are policies. Our world leaders or our nation's leaders are going to come and go. There's going to be one thing that we can agree on 100%. The one thing that's going to be consistent is change. There's not always going to be a Republican in the White House. There's not always going to be a Republican-led House and a Republican-led Senate. It will shift because it does. It is the way it is. We have to figure out how to continue to grow no matter what and who is there. Because at the end of the day, I don't think Jason Crow would even know who I was. I'm a constituent. He would never know me. And he's a veteran. And I thank him for his service. And it goes, okay, here's an example. Mike Kaufman is the mayor of Aurora. Mike Kaufman has seen me perform numerous times. Every time I walked up to Mike Kaufman, hi, I'm Mike, what's your name? What, you didn't notice that I played at every event that you've been at, including the last one you did as a United States congressman? Because that was the one that Jason Crow beat him in. Wow. But you're my mayor. There has to become a more, they have to start recognizing us. Right, left, middle. These people who serve us as public servants have got to stop not recognizing who we are. And I think that it really is a core of where Freedom Chat is wanting to go. That's why I want more people like you. I want libertarians on board. You want to talk about a crazy ass conversation? Just get a couple libertarians on board and let's go down that rabbit hole.
the political Amish, as I like to call them.
Hey, man, I voted for Gary Johnson, man. In 2016, I voted for Gary Johnson. And when someone asked me, why did you vote for Gary Johnson? I came around and told them, you know what George Washington said about voting? And they go, no. I go, he said, vote your conscience. It is as simple as that. Vote your conscience. If Lucas looks at the Democratic Party and says, holy crap, you guys are off the rails, man. I'm not walking that route. I'm going to run independent. Why? Because at least I know that I have that flexibility. I don't have to line myself up with a party. I will never align myself with a party. ever, because I've said this, and Lucas, if you go back to some of the older shows, if you're not following the Constitution, I don't care what party you're a part of. If you're not true to your oath of office to the Constitution of the United States of America, you should probably step down, because the oath means something. And Lucas knows this. Lucas said this oath. The oath has got to stand for something. And we've said this from day one. And that's not a MAGA thing. That's an American thing. That's not a left thing. That's an American thing.
Right.
We love each other. Lucas, I love you like a brother, man. I do.
No.
And when someone hears me say that, they know I'm not. It's not lip service. You know, we are Americans. I bleed red, white, and blue. I'm not going to cut myself to prove that fact, but I do. I bleed red, white, and blue. I love my country. I love my flags, all of my flags. Hey, I flew the Army flag last week. Today it's Betsy Ross. I have no idea what's going up next week.
Well, hey, Lucas, it's good to have you on the show, and thank you for your service. I didn't get a chance to tell you that, but
Yeah, thank you.
it's been good. This has been very productive, in my opinion, and I look forward to more. So hopefully we can get you on here more often. That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
So-
I know. I'd look forward to it.
I'm gonna read what Joel just wrote. This is honestly by far the best episode that you guys have done. Lucas needs to be a permanent. Guys, have ever Mark had a really good show, and I know that's Joel's speak. And Joel, I will tell you this: when you and I talked about me forming this thing, me and Dennis forming this thing, this is what we had in mind. This is legitimately what we wanted. We have been going for months and months and months, and some people have said you should just shut it down because nobody's listening to you. Well, let me tell you something. People were listening. Lucas listened, and for the email that he sent me, I am so glad that he did, because it takes stones to step out of your comfort zone and say, you know what? I don't understand why you guys call yourself this, because it doesn't feel like it's that way. It was always intended to be the way it was today. It was never intended to be a round robin of, you know, because you can get wrapped up in it, right? I mean, you really can.
Sure.
Okay. By example, if you were to start a Democrat-driven show and call it whatever you wanted to call it, and then a bunch of people who are exactly like you have exactly the same mindset, well, you just created an echo chamber. It's a different echo chamber, but it's still an echo chamber.
Sure.
And we didn't want that from day one. In fact, I'm going to cut this loose after this. I told my daughter about this when we first started it. My daughter is 18 years old and is a student at the University of Colorado. And when she heard what we had planned, she said, holy crap, this could be the single most unifying thing this nation has ever seen. Because it's a bunch of people from all over the country if they want. And it's a bunch of people that love their country and don't care about the politics. And we don't care about the politics. I don't care about the politics. Yeah, it's a political show, duly freaking noted. But it's not a political show because I believe in the Republican Party or the Libertarian Party. It's a political show because I love my country. And I will never accuse anybody that is an American of not loving their country unless they openly say, I hate my country. And then my question is going to be why? Why do you hate your country? Have you done enough research into your own lineage to realize that you maybe have family members who served in the American Revolution? I've got 3 of them. My mom is the one who exposed me to Christopher Gadsden. Christopher Gadsden is my great grandfather.
You got more than 3.
And I've got oh yeah, my mom just said more than 3.
You got
One of my ancestors fought at the.
you got
the
more than
courthouse
3. You got,
battle. But my mom, yeah, I'm going to let my mom talk a little bit about that. But I will tell you, some of my ancestors fought under Washington at Yorktown, because by the time we got to Yorktown, everybody was fighting under Washington, right? Go ahead, Mom.
yeah. Well, they were under their group that they were, but Bandy was there.
Bandy, yeah. it'd be
Our
cool.
ancestor Bandy.
And Lucas, I've got a friend who's a
Gadsden was in
genealogist.
prison in St. Augustine,
Yep.
Florida.
Yep. So you know, Lucas, I've got a friend who is a genealogist, and she She could link your lineage back as far as you wanted to go. And you know, I believe that things like that connect us more than separate us. I think that ideologies separate us. I think we need to kill did I say it that way? I didn't mean to say it that way. I think we need to put a temper on ideology, because ideology closes the mind from other viewpoints. And this has been, I will echo what Joel said. This has been the best show we've done, bar none, not even close.
Agreed.
I can't even believe how happy I am right now. This was what I had when Dennis and I talked about it. Hey, let's not make it just us. Let's open the doors and see what we get. And it's probably going to be more contentious in the future. And I say,
yeah,
bring it. So with that, Lucas, you are, oh my God, man. Come on next week, bro.
Yeah, no, I'd love to, and I really appreciated you know, being invited, you know, and I know that, you know, that that my email, like, you know, was you know,
contentious is the word.
Contentious for sure, you know, and because, like, I feel that, you know, that there is so many ideas, you know, that are worth fighting for, you know, as we have fought for, you know, and you know, and they are, you know, and like your podcast, you know, like really strive to be, you know, is just that, you know, there are conversations that are hard, you know, that need to be had, you know, and so I'm certain that we'll have more, you know, as these ideas are, you know, challenged.
Oh, absolutely.
Public forum for sure.
Absolutely. And like I said, I can't wait for the day where we got 6. I'm probably gonna need to be in the studio right next to you on those days, brother, because someone needs to control the mute.
Yeah. No, you know, and quite honestly,
I know the opposite, so
great little setup here, you know, and you know, I think
yelling till you're in there, man. All right, guys, we're gonna jump off. I want to say to everybody who watched it, and I really hope that you guys understand, you are welcome to jump on. If you know how to request coming on, do not hesitate. We will accept you with open arms and with open hearts, because that's where we are. We the three of us, talking about my mom and Dennis and myself, we love our country. And now I can say that the fourth loves our country. And we're striving to make our country a better place. And the only way we can do that is to have days like today. And I am grateful that we did this. I am grateful that we started this in October, Dennis.
Yes,
This
sir.
is what we were pushing for, man. And there's nowhere to go but up. We need everybody jump on, man. I mean, we can rotate in and out. I don't care. We need to come together, especially veterans, because I've always been confused as to how veterans go one way or another politically. I've always been confused by that, simply because my approach to being a veteran is there is no political affiliation. My allegiance is to our United States Constitution. And, you know, I've had the debate about our Constitution, and I've had people have to stop and go, damn, Mark, you're right. So, Lucas, I'm gonna let you just kind of chew on this for a week. The United States Constitution is the single most liberal document ever written. I'm gonna let you chew on that, and then I'm gonna let you either agree with me or not agree with me. But I'll give you my argument for next week if you want to come back on, and I hope you do.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, for sure.
All right, guys. I'm going to close this. Good show. Thank you, Lucas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Mom. God bless you all. God bless the United States of America.
Godspeed, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in
to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.